Alright, I'm just about finished with the two rocker panels. I've only got this area here that I've marked around to sand through. You can see a little bit of a indentation there, the reflection of the light. I try to sand through that, and a lot of little small imperfections like right in there. Whereas this was actually just painted over at some point. This piece has been repainted. A little bit of a line there. But I think I can sand all that out just with the DA. And there's some more right in here. I believe this is the driver's side piece, and this is probably damage right in here. If you can see that or not. Probably can't. There's a lot of little nicks right in here along the edge, I guess where the driver was getting in and out. All that had been painted over, so everywhere else is fairly clean. I'm just going to sand this out with 400 in here. Everywhere in here in these spots I'm going to go with 180 just to get it sanded out here and here. The rest will get 400, and then I'm going to prime this whole thing down to this edge. I'm just going to break it off here. I'll tape it back here somewhere and spray the primer this direction so I don't get an edge built up back there. And let that be it for the rockers. I've got the bottom sanded with scuff pad as well as I can get down in all these grooves. I think I'm going to do the spoiler with the rockers and the door moldings. But the spoiler has been painted at one time. Trying to find the spot where I could see where it had been repainted. I might not be able to find it now. But anyway, the clear coat was peeling off somewhere. Yeah, right here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to travel across it with the light. You can see that this area right here is missing paint, but it's still just as glossy underneath as it is on the top, which means somebody painted this and didn't sand it. So what that means for me is I've got to sand the whole thing down to at least the original finish, if not all the way through. This piece down here, the bottom part, looks to be original. I don't think it's ever been painted. It doesn't really get a lot of sun. It's underneath the top half, and it's in pretty good shape except for where right on the edge here where the clear is starting to just bubble off. But I think it's the original finish. It appears to be anyway. So I think I'm going to do the two rockers, these two door moldings, those other four pieces that go near the wheel wells, and the spoiler all together. So I'm going to get all this stuff ready and prime it. Then I'll probably just go ahead and sand it out and paint it and put it up, and then I'll focus on doing all the bumpers in the front valence and all that overlay that goes on top of it. I'm going to go ahead and do the sanding on the rocker here, get these flattened out to where I know that the primer will fill whatever's left. And I'll be back when that's ready to prime, and then we'll go on to the spoiler. Alright, I've got my finer DA, this 3/16 orbit with a soft painter's pad on it. This is a 3M purple. And I got a piece of 180 on it. I don't have the interface pad on because I want to flatten this section. Interface pad will just sand it for me, not flatten it out. But I'm going to go over this area and I'll show you what's left. It'll probably leave a few glossy spots where these little chips and scratches were painted over, and I'll just continue to sand until that's gone, or at least until I can run over with a scuff pad and know it's low enough or not too low for primer to fill. Now you might be able to see that right there. Move you over a little bit. Alright, that section's taken care of. I'm going to go do that one and I'll be back when it's completely ready. Alright, I'm getting started on the spoiler. I'm going to take the DA with 180 and just go over the whole entire thing. Probably going to start back here where I know the paint's peeling, sand it back, and then work my way around this way and do the whole entire top. it starts to look like it's feathered and stuck, it may have been sanded everywhere but right in here. You never know. May be able to leave it, but plan is to go all the way through at least the top layer of paint. Be back when it's ready. Okay, I was going to wait until I was done to show you this thing, but if I go any further, I may lose this. You can see this thing's been painted once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and that may have been done a couple times at the factory. I have seen that before. But there's at least 4 different paint jobs on this thing. And it seems like it's pretty well adhered. It's feathering out pretty well. I had to go to 80 grit to kind of speed it up. This 180 was taking forever. Same thing here. Got a lot of paint on it. But it looks like it's stuck pretty well, so I'll probably just be able to sand it smooth and then prime it from there. We'll go ahead and sand it out now, and I'll be back in a minute. Alright, top half of the spoiler's sanded down. Got every chip out that I could with the DA. There were a few in here, a lot on this leading edge back here where it catches everything. For the most part, everything looks adhered pretty well, so I only took maybe the first layer off. I am going to have to fill those 2 spots there. Those are the 2 chips that were in the edge that I showed earlier in earlier video, and there's a pretty deep gouge in it right there. That's going to have to be filled with some filler. I'll do that when I do all the 5887 repair adhesive. I'm going to dish it out just a little bit, probably with 80 grit by hand. This will be underneath the bottom though, so it really won't be seen, but that's going to have to be filled. Can't sand that out. It's down into the substrate. Going to get the bottom piece over there on the rack, get it sanded out, and it looks to be OEM, so I'll probably just have to scuff it pretty well, and that'll be it. Then everything will be ready to prime that I'm going to paint in the first session. I'm going to go pull that over here, get started on it, and I'll probably be back just when I have everything ready to prime. Well, I'll have to do the repairs first, so I'll show you those before I prime it, but that's just going to be some scratch and chip repairs, but it's really all this needs. See you in just a little bit. Alright, I've got all the spots sanded out that are going to need primer on the lower half of the spoiler. Top half is in really good shape. Really not even any paint chips in that. The only thing was all along the back edge, the clear was popping off. It looks like this piece was base clear. And right on the ends where it got sun exposure, it was starting to bubble in the clear. And right here was peeling, and also right in that recess where the M Technic sticker was, that sticker was in fairly bad shape, so I went ahead and just had to scrape it out and came back with the, let me get the pen. Came back with the fiberglass pen, and this was really jagged. It had a lot of scratches in it from the screwdriver scraping that off. Just came back and feathered it with the pen. So I'll have to sand this whole area with a scuff pad because I'll prime this corner and it's all got to stick, the overspray. And then along this edge is really okay, but I'm going to have to hit it with primer here, so I'm just going to go over the edge a little bit with my scuff pad. And I'll end up priming just this area, all along this edge, and then this area, the other part of the bottom, on the other side. And I'll just run a scuff pad along the underside here. It's in pretty good shape. That just needs to be scuffed. A couple of real light scratches in it, but I think I can wet sand that out. That way it's flat and I don't scuff over it and leave it. Other than that, it's pretty much done, ready for primer. I'm just going to scuff the areas where the primer overspray is going to land. And that'll have all these pieces ready for primer that I'm going to do, and a little bit of filler on some of the pieces with the 5887, but I'll be back with that next. Alright, I'm ready to spray some of this 5907 adhesion promoter on, getting ready for the repair compound. I'm going to hit all these areas that I've got marked where they need a little bit of filler. I'll let this sit for 10 minutes and I'll be back with the repair compound, put over the top of that. Just a light mist of this over the spots where I'm going to fill. Really only needs this if it's down to the bare plastic, so that's really all I'm focused on right now. Alright, 2-minute flash on that. I'm gonna go set up the glue in the cartridge in the gun. Get that ready. I'll be back in a second. Alright, it's ready for some filler. This is the 5887. I've got the cartridge equalized, or at least I checked it and I know it's fine. So I'm gonna run out about a couple inches of it over on the newspaper there. Discard that. Then I'll start adding a little bit to the spreader, going around filling these small spots in. This won't take very long at all. Just focused on the areas that need filler right now. I'll come back and sand this down, and then I can do all the primer work. Trying to hit these gouges right now that are in the bottom. They're not real deep, but I don't want to fill it up with primer. Not going to take very much, it's not very deep. Sanded most of it out with the DA. Alright, I got a few other small spots, but do those off camera. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, I got it on there. Normally I'll go back with some thinner and just clean the spreader off if I have time before it sets up. That way I can save that spreader. A spot there along the bottom where there were some scratches into the plastic. Top edge, rock chip there, another one on the top edge, and then not sure what did that, but that was right on that little body line, right on the corner there. Had 3 spots on this piece, one there on that little ridge, one at the top there, looked like a door ding probably there, and one on the end. One little one here on this ridge. A couple of chips in the back corner of the spoiler, and then that big deep one back here. That's it. I'll do one more round of glue on all those pieces and the rear bumper over there when I get to that point. I've got just enough glue left probably for that. That's probably a 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch left in the cartridge there, which should be plenty to do that. I'm probably going to order some more anyway just to have on hand, but I think I got enough for that. Next video will be of me priming those pieces over there, as well as this rocker and this lower half of the rear spoiler on the ends and along the back edge. And after that I'll go into doing repairs on this lower valance. It's in pretty good shape, but it's got a few chips along the front edge. Looks like it has been painted at least once or twice. We'll need a little bit of repair, and I'll probably prime most of it, if not all of it. Then I'll go into fixing the, well, there's not much left really to do to this. I just need to sand this down. I think I might be able to spot prime that one, and I'll go into the rear bumper. But I'll focus on priming the rockers and door molding and the spoiler and getting those painted and put in storage, and I'll go into working on all this stuff once that other stuff's out of the way and freeze my rack up. Because I'll need both racks free to do both bumpers and lower valance. And I've also got a fender I need to go pick up. It's going to be done with those parts too. So that'll be next.